this head. I do. How many worship you? Come on, get those hands in the air. I do worship you. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. God bless you and welcome to the Community Show Be Restored. I'm your host, Prophet Cedric Banks, along with
Prophet Izetta Banks.
we have a wonderful guest here today that's doing some outstanding things in the community and that wants to go to the next level. And we have Deborah Hunter-Harvill here today. She's running for the school board. Deborah, welcome to the Community Show Be Restored television show.
Thank you. It's our pleasure to be here. God bless you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. We really appreciate it.
Now, you're running for the school board, okay? Now, what is it that qualifies you and that where you feel that you can be an asset to the school board system? I want you to just talk to those out there in TV land and everything and let them know what can you bring to the school board, because in this day and time and era we've had so much corruption in the school board and with people in the school board, but that doesn't mean that everybody is corrupt, because we always have some diamonds in the rough. We always got some people out there that can be an asset to the community and to the children. What is it that you bring, Deborah? I want you to tell that TV audience, look in that camera, tell the TV audience, what is it that you bring to the table where you can be an asset to the school board?
Thank you, Prophet Banks. Well, I would like to say that I have been an educator for 29 years, and I am all about being ethical, fair. Integrity is what I am about, and I believe that there is a star, and a star is hidden in every classroom. And also in those classrooms, there are those that want to follow that shining star, and they want to become. I believe they hold our future. And so for that reason, I want to give back. You know, I've served as a teacher of general ed and special ed. So don't tell me that special ed students can't achieve, because I know that they can. I've also been a director of special ed.
Now I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
I'm going to bring it right back to you. Now, when we talk about special education, we're talking about people who have been diagnosed as slow, outcast in society, slow, and don't have the mind capacity to accelerate in life. Now, you said you have taught special education. Now, have you seen these people in the special education make progress? And have you seen them move forward? Because this is a group of people who have been actually wrote off that, hey, you will never be nothing, you will never amount to nothing, because you have retarded and things like that. Now, what is it that one has to bring to the table? Is it nurturing? Is it cultivating? Is it compassion? Love? What is it that you have to bring to these people to get them stirred up and fired up to where they want to begin to make some progress in life?
Thank you. That's a great start for me. First of all, I have a passion for special ed students. I also have a passion for the other extreme, which is talented and gifted. So somewhere in the middle there, you have your general ed. But let me tell you about some special ed students that I've taught over the years that contact me through Facebook or get my number and text me. And they say, thank you for, number one, taking time with me. Number two, for not writing me off.
Wow.
So it was a process. So for the first year, I didn't do so well. But when I came back and you were there the second year, You helped me to be able to write a sentence. Okay, and now in my adulthood, I can write paragraphs.
Wow.
I can also talk about it. So sometimes they can't find the language that they need right at that moment, but if you keep on introducing wall words and Venn diagrams and taking them on a field trip down to the historical museum, then they start to get the picture. So you can never write them all. You can't assess them like you would assess a talented and gifted student. For a talented and gifted student is going to get on a computer and go do an essay about Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And a special needs student might cut pictures out of her and then cut some feeling words, okay? So they may not be able to spell it correctly, but that's the final analysis is about Hillary. That's a good example. Okay, so you gotta listen to them, you gotta spend time with them, it's gotta be consistent. If you did it day 1, you do it day 2, day 3, day 4. If they're absent on day 5, when they come back the next week, day 1, you do the same thing over and over and over again. And now I could go on and on about that because those are my people.
Right.
Okay.
We're going to be doing, Deborah, we're going to be bouncing off one another back and forth on this topic right here, because I believe this is a very, very good topic. Now, when you talk about special, so what you're talking about special education students, you're talking about that they need a lot of cultivating, they need a lot of nurturing and things like that, because they are an outcast. But the thing about being an outcast, you know, an outcast has the ability to be turned into the favored.
Absolutely.
And the reason why, when we talk about in the Bible, Gideon was an outcast. In Judges, he was an outcast, but he led a nation to victory. David was an outcast. So truly, that states that God's hand is up on the outcast, even though they may be a little slow, they may be a little step behind, they may have been written off and counted out, folks may not receive them, but the hand of God is up on the outcast. And how the hand of God is up on the outcast, he'll begin to get people to them, the right people to them. See, he got to get the right people to them that will begin to nurture them and cultivate them and have a heart and a compassion and the love for them, that they can begin to get confidence and faith and rise up.
And you can't write them off, not ever. And so when I come into your classroom or when I go to your church, I might see a lot on the wall. Lots of pictures of Jesus, lots of pictures of the disciples, lots of pictures of Jesus walking on the sea. You got to show them all of that for them to get it for when you're talking about it. Can't ever write them off. You got to show that good stuff that they did. Special ed, it's special to me. You can't, and I say it again and again and again, you can't ever write them off. You welcome them into the building, you give them jobs, open the door, greeters, give them credit hours for doing that, showing them how to get old magazines that some people have discarded, thrown away, and you put those in a certain area, and before you know it, that child is speaking and learning and giving you language patterns that he or she never had. And the same thing happens all the way up to 21, age 27, because special needs get that extra training for free, okay? And so it also has to do with the leaders in the building. For if they don't like kids, special ed or general ed, it won't work. And so they go around and staff members begin to emulate what they see them do for special needs students. And then it all becomes good, okay? They begin to build their self-esteem and think they can pastor, think they can be a teacher, think they can be an attorney, and then go on to be a judge. And then before you know it, they were never ever special needs in the first place. God was just growing them, grooming them to get to where they were supposed to be.
Beautiful.
But you know, that's outstanding there, Ms. Deborah. But the main thing is what, you know, we talk about special education. They have to have the right individual before them to inspire them. See, their life have to be inspired.
Right.
You have to have that individual before them to inspire them. because they have been written off and talked about as slow. They'll never get nowhere. But when they can get the right people around them, the right example around them to motivate them, to inspire them, you know, they begin to become excited. Yes. They begin to become motivated. They begin to become inspired. And they begin to now believe in their heart, in their mind, that they can really be something in life, where once upon a time they had no dreams or no aspirations or thoughts, that they could not be anything, but now they got the right person around them with the right ingredients to cultivate them, to nurture them, to love them, but to also show them, because you can't do this a day or two and then turn into a monster on them. You got to give them stability. You know, stability, you got to consistently bring stability on a day in and day out basis to these individuals.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. And see, as board members, we have to write the policies that speak to how they're dealt with. And then it has to be consistent. You can't go back on it. And so the last time I looked, you didn't have to necessarily be a judge or a lawyer or a superintendent or a teacher. You could be a barber, okay? Right. You could become a manager at a McDonald's. You could do whatever your heart desires. You are a serious leader, okay? That's all we're talking about.
A serious leader.
A serious leader.
I'm going to give it right back to you. You just opened something up. A serious leader, I'm not talking about somebody with 10 degrees, 10 college degrees, or own all the property in the city of Detroit.
Right.
I'm talking about a real, true, serious leader can make a difference in somebody's life.
Oh, absolutely.
They can make a difference because what they have on the inside of them, they have that compassion, they have that drive, they truly love, they truly care, they truly care for the deep depths down of the heart. Absolutely. Of the matter.
Absolutely. And so what we've been talking about, those of us that want to serve on the board, I know my platform deals with wraparound services. So can you just imagine wraparound services at a school from 3:30 to 7:30. That's 4 hours for a barber to come in and talk about those vocabulary words that deal with barbering, for a McDonald's manager to come in and talk about how you go through training to become a manager. Can you just believe that when we talk about wraparound services here, so you're in the after school program and you're learning how to become, okay? And academics.
Wonderful.
All
we got 2 minutes left, okay. Deborah.
Okay.
You've been endorsed by some powerful organizations. Now, you will be there. You will be one of the people on the program at Farwell Community Recreation Center on Friday, October the 21st at 7 p.m. Pastor Donetta, give that address to Farwell Community. We have judges, we have prosecutors, those of the school board will be there Friday, October the 21st. And we need that address. We're going to get that address to Farwell Community Center in just one moment. I'm doing this for the camera. I have to keep it going. You know, we're going to get that in, okay, 1 second.
Okay, that address is 2711 East Outer Drive. 2711 East Outer Drive, that's the Farwell Recreation Center for the school board.
You've been endorsed by some powerful organizations. Anytime somebody endorses you, they believe in you. You got some people believe in you.
I'm grateful.
From some powerful organizations, powerful political organizations in this city. Who are some of the people that endorse you, Ms. Deborah?
Well, the AFL-CIO, I'm very, very proud of that. The Detroit Federation of Teachers, thank y'all. I used to belong to the Detroit Federation of Teachers, and so we have some good teachers, and we have some good mechanisms for improving so we can make them even better. Also, the Wayne County, and I told you about this earlier.
Wayne County Black Caucus.
The Wayne County Black Caucus.
B Ward.
Absolutely, B Ward.
We know
absolutely. The American Federation of Teachers.
Wow.
Also, the Bridge magazine, Chastity Pratt wrote a wonderful article and pretty much said I'm a good person and I do good work, and I appreciate that, Chastity. So I thank all of you that have endorsed me, and you know the others, I don't want to make any missteps, and I appreciate all endorsements, but I just want you to know we're proud, humbled, and we thank you.
All right. You've been watching the Community Shall Be Restored. I've been your host, Prophet Cedric Banks, and we had Deborah Harville here today, a young lady who's running for the school board, and someone that has the ability and the intentions on making a difference in this community. God bless you. Welcome to the Community Shall Be Restored. I'm your host, Prophet Cedric Banks, along with
Prophetess Dinetta Banks.
we have a dynamic show for you today. We have Judge Izetta Wright here today from 36th District Court, and she's running for re-election in this hour. Judge Bright, we want to ask you, how long have you been a judge at 36th District Court?
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Prophet and Prophetess, for having me. And I've been at the court for 27 years.
Wow.
I started as a magistrate, and the magistrate is there to assist the judges with some of the responsibilities they have. We wear the black robe, etc. But as a judge, 22 years, I have been sitting on the bench at the 36th District Court.
Now, Judge, what are some of your toughest cases that you have had as a judge at 36th District Court, and how did you handle those cases? You don't have to name no names because those cases has been tried and everything, and we don't want to open up no more boxes and everything because this do go out in the media on a prominent television station. So what are some of the cases you have had, and how did you handle those cases? Some of the toughest.
Well, like I said, let me explain first. With the 36th District Court, we do a number of areas of law. We are the beginning stages of the felony cases, the criminal cases. We are also the court that handles the traffic and ordinance, the criminal misdemeanors, landlord, tenant, all the real estate, and civil cases with up to $25,000 in claims. So we do a lot of things. Now, one of the cases that just always has stayed with me, and then, as a matter of fact, someone mentioned it the other day. I was somewhere and when I talked about 36th District Court, and they mentioned the same case. I happened to sign the warrant and arraign the individuals, and the common name that was in the community was the St. Alban massacre.
Oh, no. I think I know that case.
Yes, on St. Alban,
wow.
Where
Right.
at least 5 people were killed.
Oh, yeah,
And,
wow. The St. Alban Massacre.
That's what it was called
Right.
in the media. But
And you signed a warrant in that?
signed the warrant and arraigned the individuals that were eventually charged with the murders.
Now, they still in prison today then?
They're in prison today, and what was so striking and hard about that case is that the ringleader, or who was described as the ringleader,
right.
was an 18-year-old
Wow.
female. And then there were other young men, about 4 other young men, but to see this 18-year-old female, and then knowing that in all likelihood that she was going to spend the rest of her life in prison, and that's what has come to be. She was charged and eventually convicted, and I think that has been at least, at least about 20 years ago. So she's been in prison, and again, was sentenced to mandatory life, meaning no parole from prison.
Yeah, because that case was what? That case was back in the 80s or the 90s?
It was the late, probably early 90s.
Early 90s. I remember that case, the St. Albert Massacre. And wow, that right there, that right there is just something right there. Now, you've been endorsed by some very powerful political organizations. When someone endorses you, they believe in you. You've been endorsed. Tell the TV, I want you to look in that TV camera and mention some of the organizations that endorsed you.
Thank you. I've been endorsed by both the 13th and 14th Congressional District, Fannie Lou Hamer Political Action Committee, the Black Slate, many of the unions, the AFL-CIO, UAW, AFSCME, Local 25, and just numerous other organizations. I do also want to say that I have been rated outstanding by the Detroit Metropolitan Bar Association, and then by the Wolverine Bar Association, which is the African American Bar Association of lawyers in this community. I've been rated by them as extremely well qualified. And I just really, really appreciate all of the ratings and the endorsements that I've gotten over the years, not just this election, but over all of my 22-year career.
Now, as a judge, you've been a judge over 20 years at 36th District Court. As a judge, what are some of your strongest assets that you bring to the courtroom as a judge? I'm gonna give you a minute.
Okay.
What are some of your strongest assets, again, what are some of your strongest assets as a judge that you bring to the courtroom at 36th District Court?
Thank you. I'm committed to service. I went into law because I wanted to serve the community. I grew up in the civil rights era.
Okay.
So I wanted to become a lawyer because I wanted to be able to speak on behalf of those that could not speak for themselves. The minorities, women, poor, and I've done that all of my career. I'm also hardworking. I am there, I'm fair, I'm efficient. I do what I took an oath to do, and that is to do justice. That's my strongest asset.
Okay, that's beautiful. Now I want to ask you a question. You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. You can, because I know the case has already been tried and everything, but it's up to you. Or you can plead the fifth, okay? How would you have handled the O.J. Simpson case? You remember Judge Ito, right?
Yes.
Judge Ito was the judge in that case. How would you have handled the judge? The judge was at how would you have handled it if you allowed to speak on that? Because what did you think of the case? Just a few minutes.
Well, to be honest, I did not follow the case all the way through. I saw certain parts of it. Okay. But as far as just if that case was mine, of course I'm going to follow the law.
Right.
Be fair and do what is just. Okay. And I believe that's what happened in that case, as much as I have seen and understood, is that the law was followed, and the jury, in this case, it was the jury that decided the case. Right. So the case was given to the jury, they deliberated, and they came back with that verdict. And that's the way it goes. That is the judicial system at work, where it's either a bench trial where the judge hears the case or a jury trial. And in this case, the jury heard it. They came back with their verdict, and that is history.
All right. We got corrupted people in the school board. We got corrupted people in politics. We got corrupted people even that's in this race from the primaries that's running and want to be a judge, corrupted people and things. How can we stop the corruption? Because you got people, is that true? If an individual has a lot of money and they can come and slide the judge $500,000. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about in the system. I mean, because we have heard that. I mean, I gotta ask the tough questions, because, I'm not talking about you or anything, but I don't want you to be offended. Not talking about you. And where they can come and slide the judge a lot of money and things like that, and they get off the hook. Have you ever heard of things like that?
Well, certainly, I've heard of that. Now, of course, as you said, that is nothing near what would happen with me. My integrity is my name, and I would never. I am honest, and I do what I took an oath to do. And again, that is justice. So if I'm not just, then my oath means nothing. Now, I've heard of cases. One case that comes to mind that I read in the news was about this judge in Philadelphia that was you've heard of the prisoner pipeline situation where they were rooting he was getting all these young people and convicting them and sending them to prison. And so it was like he was getting paid to send all these young people to prison when there could have been some certainly different alternatives to this, but he is no longer on the bench. I am happy to say he might have gotten away with it for a minute, but he was caught and he is no longer on the bench. And I don't recall exactly, but I believe he may himself even have been sentenced to serve a prison term. So anytime there is found to be such a corrupt situation, hopefully it will be resolved by that person having come to justice themselves. So I've heard of that situation. There's been others, but like I said, in my case and in the case of the people at my court, that has not existed. So thank God we have not had that problem.
Right, and that's good. We don't want that problem and things like that, and that's good. Certain things never really circulated here in Detroit and things like that, and we don't need that because some of the biggest gangsters and dope dealers and crooks that have tried to run this city, I'm not gonna call out no names. We got one guy trying to get out of prison today, been in prison since the 80s. You probably got it. White Boy Rick. Well, it's no secret. It's in media. It's no secret. I should have just. White Boy Rick's trying to get out today. I heard it in media. Last week we heard it. So White Boy Rick is trying to get out of prison, and White Boy Rick's been in prison for over 30 years, back in the 80s. So the system did convict him. They weren't afraid. He was one of the top dogs out here back in the day, but the system took him down. I want you to look right in that camera. I'm gonna give you the rest of the time, Judge Izetta. The next 2 minutes is yours. I want you to look in that camera and just speak what's ever on your heart out in the community. We have children here today. We have people here today. I want you to just speak what's up on your heart. Whatever it is the Lord has placed up on your heart for you to release to the community, I want you to just speak that.
Well, first of all, I just want to say, as I indicated earlier, I have a commitment to service. I went into law because I wanted to help those that could not speak for themselves. And that's what my career has been about. I worked at the Michigan Department of Civil Rights, Law Student Civil Rights Research Council. I was at the Wayne County Neighborhood Legal Services, where I provided free legal services to those that could not afford it. And then I went on to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, where I prosecuted people who discriminated against people because of their race, sex, age, national origin. So that has been my career in terms of wanting to do what is right in the community, what is just.
All right. We heard from Judge Izetta Bright, 36th District Court. And don't forget to vote on November 8th. November the 8th. Don't forget to vote. This is Prophet Cedric Banks, host of the Community Shelby Resort TV show. We'll see you next week right here. God bless you.
Say, I do. How many worship you? Come on, get those hands in the air. I do worship you. Yes, I